Good morning. Good morning. I still have a few more minutes before it is noon. So before I get going too tough, someone let me know if you can see and hear me. I am on a new platform and I don't know if it's working or not. I have no idea. So I'm looking at the chats. Just let me know. Just send me a thumbs up or something so I can know that I'm actually live and you can see and hear me. Anybody. Because I don't even have my phones near me. So I'm looking to see and I don't see anything, but I'm hoping I am live and you all can see and hear me. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, OJ. We're going to get started with Mastermind with Carlotta at 12 o'clock. This is my second time going live publicly. We normally do live streams in the private group, but I want to do a recap really quickly and show you what you missed by not being in the free mastermind group. It's free, okay? So let me see. Like I said, I have to figure this thing out, but it's a new platform. But I'm liking it so far, okay? Very clear, kind of cute. Joined. Kind of cute, and so I'm excited. All right, so what I'm going to do real quick is go over 3 points from chapter 1 that we went over that first chapter. Yeah, it was so good. It was really, really good. We're in developing the leaders around you. And last chapter 1, last week, we talked about the leader's question, the leader's key question. Am I raising up potential leaders? Am I raising up potential leaders? And on page 3, really, really quick, because we're going to get started at 12, but I want to go over 3 points real quick. On page 3, the first paragraph in page 3, it says most leaders have followers around them. They believe the key to leadership is being followers. Few leaders surround themselves with other leaders. That is very essential, very, very key. Why is it that people don't understand the difference between a leader and a follower? Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. Another point, another takeaway is John Maxwell's goal is not to draw a following that results in a crowd, but his goal is to develop leaders who become a movement. Listen, you do not want to just have fans and followers around you. You want leaders around you. You want to cherish and respect the leaders around you. It is a two-way street. The purpose is bigger than you. Now, when it's all about you, guess what? Followers is fine. Hello, Mr. James, how you doing? Hello, Chanel, how you doing? That's absolutely fine. Let's cover one more point real quick. On page 9, leaders are not threatened by people with great potential. Isn't that a great takeaway? Isn't that a great takeaway? We are not to be threatened by other people's potential. If you are a leader, you want leaders around you. You want leaders around you, not necessarily followers. And people who have great potential, you should feed into their potential. We're going to talk about that, even more so in chapter 2. And we're going to get started right in about 3.5 minutes. And I have maybe a few people who may be joining me. So I should be live. Oh, yes, Corinthia. I should be live in the Mastermind group as well. We're also streaming live on YouTube. So if you're streaming live on YouTube, hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. How you doing out there? And Facebook and Mastermind group and my public page. Man, this is going to be good, you all. So just get ready, get ready, get ready. I had some other notes. Oh, yes, I wanted to talk about this. My mind, with me being prior law enforcement, and I see and think 3D sometimes, and I love details. I love facts. I'm a fact finder, okay? What I discovered, we do a lot of talking about chess versus checkers, right? Chess versus checkers. And oftentimes, hello, how you doing, Mike Brown? I see you tuning in from YouTube. How you doing? Chess versus checkers. We're talking about leaders. We're talking about developing the leaders around you. I'm going to speak for me. I can't speak for nobody else. If someone is in my life and I'm a leader, and of course I'm a leadership coach, and I am to lead by example, but if I see someone with potential, I want to tap into that potential and feed into it. And so when it comes to chess versus checkers, in checkers, you can crown yourself. You can crown yourself. You know what I'm talking about? It's been a long time since I played checkers. But one thing I remember is that once you get to the other side, you get another little checkers and you put on top, right? Am I right? And now you have crowned yourself. But in chess, when you really want to help someone, you want to help them, so you set them up for checkmate. But when you playing checkers, the short game, you're thinking about yourself. Oh, I'm going to use your potential, but I'm only going to use it in a way where it makes me look good, where it crowns me. I don't want to see you do too much. I don't want to see you, because you might be looking like a threat. But we should not view each other like that. There should be no competition between the leader and other leaders. That's what I'm getting at. We want to make sure we're very intentional, and that he said, OJ Clark said, great nuggets before 12. Thank you. I put a little thought into this, just a little bit. But this is like my sweet spot right here. I love Mastermind, and we're getting ready to start up. I'm getting ready to bring up anyone who is willing. You must be in the private group in order to join me. So I should be having a few people come up in the platform, in the stage where you can see us. And we're going to dive into chapter 2, which is really, really good. I'm excited. But yeah, chess versus checkers. I'm into chess all day long. If I'm working with you, I want to put you in a position to win in life, period. And guess what? That's whether it includes me or not. Now that's where it goes to the next level. Whether it includes me or not, you might have some potential that has been untouched, and maybe you might need to take a different path, but as long as you win, God bless, and I'm grateful to be a part of your growth process. All right, let's go ahead and bring up, we got Latasha King. She's going to come to the stage, and anyone else. Good morning, good afternoon. Latasha, how you doing, Queen? Can't hear you.
All right, I'm wonderful. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Anyone? Yes. Anyone else who would like to come in, the floor is open. You all can just click a link. I posted it in the private group. I put a little caption with it to let you know. All you have to do is click on the image that comes up. Click on that, and that's going to show you and help you how to get into the stage. I see we have Miss Chrysler. She is loading. Oh, I'm using a new platform, and it's telling me who's coming into the stage while I'm talking to y'all. Ain't that cute? Oh, I like that. We're going to bring in Miss Chrysler. Yes. Okay. All right. Come on in here, Miss Chrysler. Now, normally, all the time we do this, I normally open the floor, and I normally allow everyone that's participating to go first. This chapter, I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to give my points, and then I'm going to open the floor for you all to give your points. And you all already know how we do it here, but we just want to open it up because sometimes while you're driving in your car, you may not be in the free mastermind group. You are welcome to join. Okay. All you have to do is you can send me a message, or you see flyers all up and down my page. Just follow the instructions on the flyer and you can get in. Okay. But I don't want to waste too much time for chapter 2. I'm going to go over, we're going to go from page 17 to page 22 to start it off. And I'm going to give some points, and then I'm going to open the floor. And I'm so grateful that Latasha King, who pretty much right there with me every step of the way, every time we have Mastermind with Carlotta, which is every Thursday at noon. And thank you so much for joining us today, Shanetta. I know she makes some really big sacrifices to be on this stage. I really appreciate you. Thank you. And I know you can't stay the whole time, but hey, Something's better than nothing all day long. All right, so let's dive off into it. Page 17, the leader's toughest challenge, creating a climate for potential leaders. And I can really relate to that. That can really be tough. That's why it's so important to strive, to grow, to learn how to do something. Anytime that I get to a place where I feel like I know it all, I don't need to grow no more, I don't get to that place, but that's not good. In no area, even if you are naturally talented, you can be naturally gifted in something. Don't just rely on your natural capabilities. Don't just rely on the fact that you got the job. Don't just rely on the fact that you got the promotion. Grow in that area so you can go to the next level, okay? So John Maxwell says, those who believe in our abilities do more than stimulate us. They create an atmosphere in which it becomes easier for us to succeed. That's genius, right? All right, so let me go to one of my first main points. One of my first main points is, because this right here, oh my gosh, this was so deep, and it was really a really, really good chapter. Let me see what I want to start with, because it's just so much. I spoke to a high school class maybe a few days ago. And before I even read chapter 2, I was speaking to them on entrepreneurship. And I was telling them, you're going to be great. When you're in high school, they were ninth graders. You're going to be gifted and talented. You might be first chair in band. You might be the starter of whatever team you're on or whatever kind of sport you're playing. But don't rely on natural talent. I just said that just a minute ago. And it's on page 22 where he says the report stated conclusively that drive, determination, and desire, not great natural talent, led to the extraordinary success of these individuals that they were talking about in the text. All that's doing is saying, that's just reiterating, restamping the fact that I don't care if you're an adult and you can be grown and you can be the top in your field and you can be all that in a bag of chips. Don't rely on your natural capabilities. Always strive to go to the next level. Hello, Miss Shannon Easter. How you doing, love? How you doing out there? Trina May, how are you? All right. Another point I wanted to make, I'm going to make 2 more points and then I'm going to open the floor. Most leaders do the opposite. They first decide what they want. Then they try to persuade others to want the same thing as they do. I put mic drop right beside that because what I saw was, wow, what a way to say that. I mean, what a way to say that. That is really how normal people do. And he went on to say it takes the leader with vision to see the future leader within the person. Michelangelo, when questioned about his masterpiece, David answered that the sculpture had always existed within the stone. This right here is really, really key. This is one of the biggest takeaways of the chapter for me, the sculpture. Think about it. Think about a big stone. I want you to think about this. If you're driving, if you're at work, if you're on your lunch break, just think about this. This one thing, a huge stone. Now think about Michelangelo and how he used to sculpt away and make beautiful, fine art. But here comes David, and he answers this and says that the sculpture had always existed within the stone. In other words, that's so big, y'all. That's a whole keynote right there. That means the greatness, the dreams, your desires, everything you ever wanted in life. It's already there. It already exists. Now, it's going to take work. It's going to take you having to chisel at the stone. It's going to take, you going through some things. It's going to take you having to endure some pressure. Pressure makes diamonds or either it busts pipes, whichever one. But at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, even in the beginning, even now, whether you feel like it or whether you don't feel like it, it's always happening. You're being chiseled for a reason. And the sculpture is already there. Man, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, but I'm going to go ahead and take a quick pause. And I'm going to open the floor. And Shanetta, I don't want you to hold back, especially since you're not going to be on long. Okay, I appreciate you for making it happen today, girl. You look so beautiful. I love your hair. Okay, The floor is open.
Let's see. Can you hear me? Okay. Thanks, Carlotta. Always great to be in this. This chapter is really, really mind blowing. It really makes you just kind of tap into your own self to see what type of leader are you portraying to be. I underline a lot of things. One of the things I underline is telling the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer. That really, really, definitely was mind boggling for me because it makes you sit down and think: are you that person that's actively challenging other people? When you walk in a room, are you that person who they be like, oh my goodness? Or are you a temperature setter? When you walk in a room and you're filled with joy and happiness, you just change everybody around you, because you have to begin to be that temperature changer, that the atmosphere might be conducive to other things. But when you come in and your energy is just amazing, and when you walk in the room, whatever might have been going on before, your energy and just your mere presence can change the actual atmosphere throughout the room. So sometimes you have to sit down and you have to actually think, when I come into the room, what is my temperature? What am I feeling? And when I come in, does that change for the good or for the bad? So we have to actually think about that before we walk into a room, because your feeling, what they say, energy is energy. People don't believe that energy is real. It is. If you coming in with a bad vibe or a negative energy, it's gonna attract on somebody else. So you have to check yourself at the door with anything, with business, with life, anything that you're doing. When you're coming into an atmosphere where in an organization, you're gonna have to check yourself before you come before another people, because it's gonna rub off the wrong way. Also, I was looking at something and it made me laugh, and it actually about momentum and changing your perspective and rubbing off on other people, and knowing that whatever you do, your people behind you are going to do as well. And I can relate, not just in business, but I have to bring in, I know you like to bring life situations. I laughed and I wrote, as a key point is, remember when you were growing up, your mom always told you, don't do what I do, do what I say. Yeah, that's easier said than done, because I found myself telling my kids the same exact thing. But you really have to sit down and think about it. They're not going to do what you say. They're looking and implementing everything that you do, whether it's good, bad, wrong, or right. They're going to actually do it. So I had to sit back and start thinking that to myself. And with my own kids' life, they're mimicking mom. So I have to change some things that I'm doing. Whether I say don't do what I do, do as I say, they're still going to, they're a reflection of you. So you have to use that in business. Being a leader, you're going to have to start doing what you ask your people to do. How are you going to tell us to do this way, or come in with a momentum, or be hype, or, do this? I need you to get, say for instance, even with myself, I'm telling my team to get G5, but I ain't G5. So how am I going to tell them to do something that I myself is not going to do? And just like in other leaders, when they say, I want you to sow into something, that's why I'm grateful for my leaders in the Kings, as well as Dr. Jameson, and also you. When you say sow into something, you're doing it first before I do it. So how can I ask you to do something that I myself is not going to do? So you have to definitely challenge your people to do the things that they see you doing, not just talk. They want to see you do it first, implement it, and then they'll begin to do it. So that's definitely a great leadership point. And the last thing, I was on one of those pages, it's talked about belief. And belief is so important. If you don't believe in your people, or you don't show your people that, hey, I believe in you, I see potential in you, then how you expect them to do any better? If they feel like, we're my own head doesn't believe that I can do it, then why should I think of things like that? And also, you have to be a people person first. Again, I always throw it back to the amazing leadership that I have. They always check on you. They don't always just call you to say, okay, you're going to get this G5, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. I'm just calling to check on you as a person. And when you have people that genuinely love you and check on you and make sure you're good, because it could be something that you can help them with, and then that could be the fire starter for something else in business. Just always check on your people. And this is my last point. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm back on this belief thing. I made actually a live about it last week, and it's pertaining to where I currently work at, JSU. And people are just stunned at how, just in all athletics, how people are prospering. And I said it has to do with belief. when nobody believed in those people and those players, then their belief system was tarnished, and therefore they didn't win games. But when you have somebody, a leader that comes in, that motivates you, that believes in you, then you'll start believing in yourself. That momentum is high, and guess what? You begin to prosper. So I have to say, you have to believe in the people that you're asking to come up with you. Otherwise, they're not going to prosper, because those same people that are winning games now are the same exact players that played 2 years ago that were losing. But because they didn't have the right person pushing them and believing in them, then they did not prosper. Now, it depends on who you have around you, developing and bringing you up with them, that'll have your belief system going to a higher momentum. And that's all I got to say on those first couple.
Natasha, it is on you. I'm a reply to Shanetta after you speak, because Shanetta did a mic drop.
Absolutely. That was more than a mic drop. She dropped it and had somebody, she didn't unplug it. She had somebody else. She just pointed and told them to unplug it at the same time.
Exactly.
So I love that. Definitely grateful for the platform, and thank you, Shanetta. She's there's so much leadership in her, and once she gets going about something, she's gonna give it raw. She's gonna be just straight to the point, and I absolutely love that. Outside of the things that you all already shared, there was something on page 19 that talked about when you try to take something out of a growth environment, and it was speaking in terms of let's just say there's a potential a leader, organization, business owner, employee, whatever it is. You see an organization. It's not necessarily even a person. You see an organization that's thriving, and you say to yourself, I low key like what they have going on, but I don't see myself as having it. So I want to go take from that. If I go take what they have, meaning their people, I can get the same results. And that's not the case. That is so not the case. And I love the part in here where he said that for a flower to blossom, you need the right soil as well as the right seed. It's not just about the seed. The seed is going to produce based on the environment that is in. So if you think that you can go and take from and it's still going to produce in your toxic environment, or that has not grown to the place, I'm not even going to say that it's necessarily toxic, although some are. But if you think that something is going to grow in the space that, in the lack that you're perceiving, because I want people to catch that. You see something else that's producing, and in your mind, you're looking at it from a relative standpoint, and you're saying, I am not producing at that level. If I had what they had, I would grow. So I'm going to take from so that I can have. It doesn't work like that. Years ago, I was working on one of my leadership degrees, and it's I I also worked with the state and the district in terms of leadership, things dealing with curriculum, just a lot of different departments. Even though I was in the classroom, I still served in other places. And there came times where the district wanted to adopt certain types of textbooks like Singapore math and stuff like that. And they were so gung-ho, and the mindset is, if we just get their textbooks and their resources, our children can produce just like, because Singapore was this place that was really thriving in terms of education. And I would sit and listen, but at some point I just politely raised my hand and said, it's not the textbook. You have to adopt the culture in order to produce here. You want to take the resources and material and place it in an inner city school system. It's completely different. All right, that's education. Let's take it to relationships. You see a relationship that's thriving and doing well, and you say, man, I want that. So some people, whether it be lady or man, position themselves to be that other outside person. And you feel that what was once there that you saw and admired, you wanted to have too. You wanted to take from so that you could have. It doesn't work like that. Whatever was taking place in that relationship is what you were perceiving as good. So are you at that place where you can produce and have? You don't take from, just like in business. You don't take from in order for you to have, especially if you already deemed in yourself that I don't have. You're taking from something good and bringing them in a place that of lack. That's the whole premise behind it. So I just that part right there is simply said that the right soil, you need the right soil and the right seed. But the thing is, it went further down. It says that when you take from this potential type of environment, that seed will not grow. It's going to stop. Where that potential leader was growing and thriving in that area, once you take them out and you put them in a space, they're going to stop. They will stop growing because they're no longer in the environment. If you think about a flower or something like that, if you take it out of the proper environment that it's in, you go outside, if you got a garden or whatever, and you see it's growing and you want to take it out of the soil and bring it in your house, sit it on your dining room table or whatever, it's going to stop growing. It's not an environment that's conducive for it to grow. So I love that part. And like I said, I'm trying to pull out some things where you all had not talked about it because we literally highlighted some of the same areas. On page 20, it talked about model the desired leadership. And Shanetta talked about it too. You create an appealing climate by modeling leadership. It's not just giving an example or showing, hey, look, this is great. No, you got to model that thing. You have to model it, and you can only model it if you've learned it. And I wish I had the exact quote, but there you go from learned knowledge. There's 4 parts to it. I can't remember what the third one is, what the second one is, but there's learned knowledge. There is, I believe it's applied knowledge. I'm not sure. Modeling knowledge, and then teaching. So you cannot expect your organization to do something if you are not in fact modeling it. Or you edify other leaders that have strengths that you don't. Highlight the strengths in others because you can't do it all. It's not all about you. But if you bring on people that are just as strong, if not stronger than you in some areas, and it talked about this, it says find their it factor, and you edify that and build it up because you're providing a model for people to go by, you will grow. Because guess what? As a leader, you can humble yourself and learn from somebody else's strength that's working with you. And we never see any of our leaders as somebody that's underneath us. No, we're all equal. We have a shared vision and we're going to work towards that. And one of the other things that I saw in here, and I just put 3 things. It was finishing up on page 21. It talked about how you can ensure success and identify potential in leaders simply by cultivate it in light of the needs of the organization. Look at what is needed for the organization. And then you can produce a win-win situation. And from there, you mentor leaders. The mentoring leader, you win because the rising star that's working with you performs and produce. That's big. That's big. What good is it having a title and no one is performing or producing? So you want to have somebody that's performing and producing. I believe that's the 3rd level of leadership that John Maxwell talks about. And then it says the organization wins because the mission is being fulfilled. And then the potential leader wins because he or she is being developed and improved. So it's a win-win for everybody. And it just allows, it's such a beautiful place for growth. And to be in a position where you're working towards that. I know we're going to work throughout the rest of the book, but it literally asks questions about where you are. And if you aren't there, just start now. Not now, but right now, and work towards that. But those three things right there are really powerful in terms of cultivating in light of the organization's needs. And that's it.
Wow, you all covered some amazing content. I'm saying we could really stay on these first few pages because it was just such a major impact, so much value, so much content. As soon as chapter 2 started, you would definitely need to get this book. We're reading Developing the Leaders Around You. We read Developing the Leader Within You our last session. Now we're in Developing the Leaders Around You by John C. Maxwell. And I'm telling you, we're in chapter 2, and you can already tell that this book is so rich and filled with things that you can apply in your own true life, no matter it's in relationship, business, friendships, whatever the case may be, and really grow as an individual. I'm still right here on these few pages. Normally I'll say we can just keep it going, but the content is so rich. I just want to read this at the page 19. Both Shanetta and Natasha covered it, but I want you to understand where we are coming from. Hold on, I got a private chat. Let me see what I got. Okay, great. No problem, love. Thank you for coming. See, that's so cool. All right. So I'm going to read this so you can understand where we're coming from as we are expounding on the text on page 19, chapter 2. Starts out, unless, of course, the leader has already converted the environment of his or her own organization from Arctic to tropical. To see the relationship, we want you to see this, okay? We're talking about it, it's kind of like we're ping-ponging, but I want you to understand what the text says. To see the relationship between environment and growth. Look at nature. Okay, just think about nature. An observation was made by a man who dives for exotic fish for aquariums. According to him, one of the most popular aquarium fish is the shark. I was like, okay. The reason for this is that sharks adapt to their environment. If you catch a small shark and confine it, it will stay a size proportionate to the aquarium in which it lives. Sharks can be 6 inches long and fully mature. That's little, okay? Very little. But they can be fully mature. But turn them loose in the ocean and they grow to their normal size. Y'all know how big sharks get. Y'all seen them sharks movies? I know all that Jaws and all that stuff. But anyway, that's very, very deep. And Natasha stated earlier, you think you're going to snatch up a leader and pull them because they look like they shining and they winning, but when you get them, it's like a dud. It's not just that person. It is the environment. You will literally have to hire the environment because the leader made an environment, a winning environment. Think about it. Now, you can go to your job and if people, listen, people will turn down offers. I know I've done it before. People will turn down offers where they could get paid double the money if they leave and go to another organization. But they would rather take a pay cut and stay where they are because of the environment. Or you can reverse it. They could be making lots of money on their job. They could be making double the money, but they'll take a pay cut to go work somewhere else because the environment is better. See, it's all about really, truly understanding that you want to develop the leaders around you and tap into their potential. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to go. Man, this is really good. And anytime we go over this, I know Natasha does the same thing. We search ourselves to see how can we stretch ourselves and grow ourselves as leaders with what we learn in these chapters. So we're going to go ahead and pass it over to, where are we now? We're going to go from page 24. Right, we're going to go from page 24. This is a really short chapter. This book has really short chapters. So we're doing really great with time. So we'll probably be done early. However, let's go from page 22, Yeah, 24 to page. Just make it 30. All right. So page 24. I have a star besides. Every mountain is a possible opportunity to strike it rich. And so, in other words, we're looking at mountains, and that can seem like it's kind of troublesome. It takes some hard work, challenges in life, but it's all about your perception. It's all about how you look at things. A smart person once said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, something like that, paraphrased. But every mountain is a possible opportunity to strike it rich. You're going to endure some difficulties. You're going to endure some hard times. Just know, no matter how big that mountain is, it's an opportunity for you to stretch and grow. What can you learn? What will be your takeaway? You are being conditioned. Everything is happening for a reason. Nothing just happens. What is your learning point in this matter? Whatever it is in your life. Everybody has their own mountain to face. Mountains. Because like they say, you either going into a storm, in one, on your way out of one, or going on your way into one, like I already said. You're either on your way up a mountain or down a mountain, or just taking a break from a mountain. Okay? So we have to look at things in life a little bit different, although it can be hard sometimes. I have to admit, it can be challenging and hard. And I can say that for myself. But what can we learn from the situation? How can we grow? I also have underlined and in parentheses, organizations that place great emphasis on titles and positions are teaching their employees to do the same. A lowly title doesn't hinder a super producer. So you can be an exceptional leader and be a janitor. And it's just something about that janitor that just like, wow, they just reek of leadership. You see, I see it all the time in those lovely stories, those gold cast movies and, quick movies or whatever. You see like where people just had low titles, but then all of a sudden they just soared because their leadership, they were such a super producer. And you can be on the job and somebody who just a regular employee don't even have a managerial title, but they can have superior leadership. It doesn't make or break a person. So don't think, even if you have a high title, don't think because you have a high title that that's leadership and that's the end of it. It's not. A person who stands on his position will never have influence, check this, beyond his or her job description. Beyond his or her job description. I know this is so true because I've seen it over and over again where people have some really high ranks, but as soon as they're no longer in that job position, it's like, okay, where did the clout go? You got your clique right now, you got your ringleaders and all of that, but now that you're no longer in that position, what's happening now? Because it was only about the title. It was not about you. It was not about your leadership capabilities. It was not about your value, what you bring to the table. You just walked around with your chest out. People don't respect that in the long run. Now, this right here, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to open the floor. No, I got two more things to read. Then I'm going to open the floor and get some points, some really great points from Natasha. All right, so provide growth opportunities, page 25, second paragraph, first full paragraph. There is a story of a tourist who paused for a rest in a small town in the mountains. He went over to an old man sitting on a bench in front of the only store in town and inquired, "Friend, can you tell me something this town is noted for?" "Well," replied the old man, "I don't rightly know except that it's the starting point to the world. You can start here and go anywhere you want." In other words, what I got away from that is perception is reality. Might be a little old bit of town, but guess what? It's all about how you look at it. How do you, he looked at that, he took it to a world perspective. A small town, big world. I was like, wow, it's all about how you perceive things. You can be in a really bad, tough situation right now, but it's about how do you see the situation? How do you see yourself? How do you see where you're learning, where you're growing, how you're being stretched? How do you see those things? that changes everything. It changes your mood. It changes your energy. Listen, I was working out just yesterday. When I got to the gym, when I got to the gym, oh my gosh, something was trying to come on me, like, that energy that trying to pull you down, right? And I just told myself, I'm not going to allow that energy to get to me. I had to fight through it. And you know what I had to do? Ultimately, I had to change my perception of how I viewed what it was that I was letting get on my nerves. I'm just being honest. But we have the power to change our mood. Your mood really controls everything you do. Your energy, your attitude, your mood. But you have control. You have a choice. Do not allow your whatever issues or the emotions, your moods to persuade you. You persuade it. It's energy. Just channel it different. All people do not view their current location as a starting point to wherever they want to go in the world. John C. Maxwell stated that, and guess what? That is very, very key. Now, this is kind of like a long little paragraph, so I'm not going to read it because it's a little long. But in the grand scheme of things, there was a lady who purchased a parrot, and the parrot would not talk. Every time she came home, she would say, she would complain. She would be like, this parrot not talking. So she'd go to work or go wherever she was going and say, the parrot's not talking. Why is it not talking? And so she would just go back, and she was getting all these different things for the parrot every single day. By the way, I want a parrot. But anyway, she was getting all these different things for the parrot, and she never bought the parrot food. So she was giving the parrot everything that she wanted to give it, but not necessarily what the parrot needed, and the parrot died. Okay? So just make sure that we are feeding the leaders around us, and that we are whoever, even the people. Because I would just like to even go so much as to say people. And when people have potential, you want to help them go to the next level. Help them expand in their potential. Tap into that. All right. Really great chapter here. Really great. We're going to be finished really quick. I think the next time that's going to be it over a few more pages. But the floor is open. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Natasha. For some reason, I'm telling y'all, it was not like this before we decided to go public. Like we used to do this session in private Zooms. Natasha, please let them know. Like we used to have people over there in the group. They in the group just hadn't ducked off, and they might come in, they looking, but as soon as it's over, they back to yay. I guess everybody doesn't like to just be behind the camera per se, and that's okay. You do it however you want to, long as you're growing. Long as you are learning, digesting, and stretching yourself, that's really what matters most.
Absolutely. And hopefully I'm coming through clearly. The weather, Wi-Fi. But anyway, a big shout out to all of the Mastermind participants, whether you're present, are visible or not. It is an amazing growth community, and it doesn't just take place here on screen. There is a Facebook group, and we continuously can grow together. So I definitely want to say thank you, Carlotta, for that. And thank you to the group, because we do grow together. One of the things that stood out, I wanted to talk about the, let's see, where is it? Well, you talked about how it's the starting point to anywhere in the world. The gentleman said, well, I don't know what the town is really known for, but you can start here and go anywhere in the world. And it makes me think of a quote someone said, don't take a portrait view, take a landscape view. And the landscape view allows you to see from not where you are, but from where you are going. You get a chance to see where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. Because a lot of times people will take a portrait, portrait is the one straight up and down. And it just isolates one particular frame, and that's often causing you to look at the circumstance, and people can't appreciate that. If you're just looking at one single frame, you can't appreciate journey. But once you turn it into, then you actually get a greater perspective. Just like you were saying, you get a greater perspective of what's really taking place, and that makes a world of difference. So that was one thing. The other thing was over on it talked about, let's see, what was the caption? Spend more effort on the farm than on the free agent. I love this part.
Repeat that one more time. And what page?
Can you still hear me?
Oh, I
Okay.
can hear you. I
It
was
said
saying, repeat
spend
that one more
more
time. And what?
effort on the farm team, the free agents. And at first I was like, man, just stop the book right here. Because how often do we see this happen? It almost touches on what we talked about a few minutes ago, how you see something from that's doing well in another environment and you want to bring it in, think that it's going to produce and do the same thing. He was speaking in terms of spend more time on the farm. That means cultivating the people that are right there. He said it takes time and it may not be easy in it. And the reason why it takes time and it's not necessarily easy, the people want instant gratification. They don't appreciate or value the need to grow literally or believe in every single person that's in their organization. It to do this really makes you think or have the belief that everyone in the organization is a leader and at some point they will be a shining star. They'll be that one that's out front. You have to have that capability to see that, but also take time to invest in developing that. And it talked about three things. It said, let me go skip around here. It says they either bring players from, and it's talking about some leaders. When it's talking about Major League Baseball, they'll recruit players in one of two ways. Said they'll either bring players up from their minor league farm teams or go outside the organization in search of free agents. And then it goes on to talk about some of the reasons why you want to, some of the benefits and advantages of cultivating people within the organization. And I'll share those real quickly. One, it says the first is that you already know the individual's character and attitude. Already, when you're working with people that are, when you're bringing up leaders from the organization, you already know their character and attitude. So when you interview somebody from the outside, you are taking a risk. It says job descriptions and resumes address skills, but not character. It might look good, but do you really know what's going on? Right? The second advantage is that the person promoted from within already knows the organization and its people. That's so big. How often have you seen where people from the outside will come in, they don't understand the cultural climate of the organization, and if they don't understand it, they can't appreciate it. And if you can't appreciate a thing, you have no value for it. And if you have no value for a thing, you will not stay there long. You won't invest your effort or anything into it. And so that's a big part about it. When you have someone that you're cultivating from within the organization, they already know. And then the third advantage is a person brought from the farm team is a proven performer. You've already seen his gifts and impact. It's proven. That's knowing that you got the right soil and the right seed and you see the fruit of it. So now it's just a matter of continuing to nurture it and give it what it needs to produce more fruit. And when you're producing fruit, it just becomes a cycle. It becomes a cycle where that thing is now feeding the organization, and that's leadership. Leadership is not about you shining high and mighty and all of this stuff and you holding a position. It's who are you cultivating to take your place. And I actually think, and I don't mean to jump around, I said that and it made me think about a statement that he said in here. I don't know what page it's on, but he said that, and I'm going back, but it was basically saying that a leader is not a job will not cultivate a leader, in so many words. So I can't find it. I don't want to hold time or anything, but this part right here about spending more time on the farm than on the free agents, that's major. That is major. You see that in every aspect, whether it's um, church, whether it's family, whether it's law enforcement, business, athletics. I mean, it covers everything. And the reason why us as consumers, the reason why we sometimes get frustrated is because you see customer service or the service that you're receiving isn't there because people don't take time to recognize this. Can you invest in the people that are there and really help cultivate them and make them better? I mean, think about how you feel when you call the cable company or when you're working with your water department or just anything. If you go to a restaurant, now it's some restaurants and places that you can go to. It's been that one manager there for years, and it feels like family when you go in. And I promise you that manager has become either like a mother or father to the employees there because they take care of their people. They help them grow. They take care. They know their the people, the employees' families, and all of that. And you can feel it when you come in because they've been there. They're invested in it, and they're working. They're working with the people because they believe in them. But on the flip side, you have certain places where you go, and because you just pull people from the outside, you don't know if they're going to work. You just take it on the whim. They sound good. They look good when they come in for the interview or whatever the case may be. And you really have not assessed their character and their attitude. You don't truly know what type of fruit they bear from their gifts. And they have not been invested in the culture and climate of the organization to really understand the need and the overall goal of the organization. And so that's all I have.
Well, thank you. Strong, valuable feedback, insight, and value added to chapter 2. Thank you, Natasha, for pouring in right there. Like John Maxwell says, when people put things on their resume, those are skills and things like a checklist. But it has nothing to do with character. When it comes to character, that has to be shown and proven. And that can only be done over time. So you're taking a really huge risk. I'm talking like a red flag risk. Always, just snatching someone up from the outside that you don't necessarily know. Let me see if I can reach this one of these mics. Okay, there we go. Snatching someone from the outside that you do not know versus someone's character that has shown and proven themselves loyal, true, a hard worker, great leader. Why would you hire someone from the outside when you have a very highly qualified, capable individual, willing and able right here in your camp? Thank you for really diving into that, Natasha, because that right there is really huge. I can just kind of go back and forth. We're just going to open up the whole chapter because chapter 2 is really short, but it's really rich. It's short, but it's rich. So I want to go back to, I was talking earlier, giving the example of the parrot and how the parrot died because the lady forgot to feed it food. But let's not just talk about the parrot. Let's bring this on over to real live human beings because we are talking about developing the leaders around you, right? So a lot of times, many leaders, don't get mad at me. John Maxwell said, many leaders are like the lady who let the parrot die because she never fed it food. She gave it a swing. She gave it a cage. She gave it everything else in the world. Something I don't know, I can't remember. All kind of stuff, toys, but did not feed it. And that's all it really needed to live was food. So he says they want their people to produce. When the people don't, the leaders provide them with all the things some experts says they are supposed to like. However, the leaders themselves never look at the people to see what they really need. And so when we are developing the leaders around us, we want to make sure that we are developing people and giving them what they need to go to the next level. All right, I'm going to go on over to page 28. Page 28, I have underlined, unless a man, and go ahead and insert woman too, because anytime he says man, he's talking about man and woman. Don't want to offend nobody. Unless a man or woman undertakes more than he or she possibly can do, that means you out there like giving it all you got. You like, let me take on this. Let me see if I can take on that. Not necessarily doing way too much, but you don't want to be just doing so little that you're not even stretching yourself. You don't want to be doing so little that you're not even growing. And how could you grow? You're not really doing anything. But until you can take on more than you possibly can do, you will never do all you can. You will never do all you can. So in other words, if this is the goal and you're stretching yourself when you're here, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna hit. You're gonna do what you need to do because you're already superseding and moving beyond the mark. But if you're under here, this is the goal and you're here. You're not even putting things on your plate that you need to tackle and get done to accomplish what you want to accomplish. You're not gonna do it. All right? You're not gonna do it. Page 31. I have underlined third paragraph, really the second full paragraph. Right there in the middle, I have, in fact, removing poor performers from an organization is as important as finding good ones. Not wanting to take a negative stance on anything, but that's equally as important. We can't just skip on by that like we didn't see it, right? That is very, very important because, how I've been told, a bad apple, any type of person that's negative, putting out negative information, putting out gossiping information, kind of behind closed doors, the whisperers, and people who bring the integrity or the momentum of the team down, the organization down, you want to prune. And that's kind of a hard job for a leader. It's kind of like some leaders, we got to talk about it. Some leaders, you're in leadership positions. Sometimes some of you managers or whomever, whatever your position is, you might have to fire somebody. Now you can switch it up and give a different perspective on it and say, hey, I'm not firing you. You fired yourself because you knew X, Y, Z. Before we even got started, you probably had so many warnings. But that is something that we do have to, we still have to deal with, is removing poor performers. So just make sure that when you point to yourself, you're not the poor performer. We want to make sure that we are working on self-growth. I have underlined at the last paragraph, page 31. Come on, she says, seeds of discord. The leader must examine himself or herself, ask himself the hard questions, and then determine the right thing, regardless of atmosphere or mood. Now, this is where it gets serious. This is one of the main reasons, with my coaching clients, one of the main reasons is the mood a person is in. It's not that you cannot meet your goal. It is not that you cannot meet and have what you say you want to have and be in a different state of mind. It's the fact that when the mood hits, when the emotion is filled up inside of you, you just pretty much let it do what it want to do instead of you taking control and working through that energy and refocusing, reshifting that energy to really change your perspective. Delete the old negative way, delete the subconscious rooted environment way you grew up and change it to what you desire. What do you want? If you're sad, guess what? Why are you sad? Get to the very core of it. Okay? Is it life-threatening? If you had 5 days to live, is that the only thing that you would be thinking about, or would it be something you wouldn't even be worried about? If it's nothing you would even worry about, you can let that go right now. Just drop it. It is not worth it. We decide how we want to live every single day of our life, no matter, even though it's a lot of strife out there, it's a lot of sadness. Trust me, I know, because I've been enduring a lot of it myself. But at the same time, we have the power to choose. What do we want? We do not allow the atmosphere and our moods to control us. First thing we want to do is just throw everything away. All because of a mood. All because of how you're feeling. We gotta learn how to help us. We gotta learn how to get those feelings, check them. They gotta take a back seat. We gotta drive our own life. Is something burning up over there? We gotta drive our own lives. Make sure your feelings and your emotions are not in the driver's seat, just driving away. And you over here in the back somewhere, don't even have a seatbelt on. No. Okay? We have to make sure that what we do is not emotion based unless it's the good kind of emotion. Now it's okay. So you can drum up a good emotion to where it supersedes a negative emotion. Now you just push that old negative emotion out of the way. And guess who controls that? We do. You control your own emotions. Even if you have to break away and get in solitude. Solitude is one of the best ways really to tap in and get to know yourself and to really woosah and be okay and fix it here so you can walk it out. And now you in good energy, good mood, good space, and now you can complete what you need to do. Chanel Crystal says you cannot wear your emotions on your sleeve. Don't be a negative Nancy. Come on now, Chanel. Come on now, Chanel. All right, so let me see. Do I have anything else? Because the chapter was really, really great. Has a lot of great points. I'm going to leave a lot of great points for Natasha to cover. And I talked about that. I pretty much talked about everything that I highlighted that I wanted to re-emphasize. And like I said, great chapter. We might finish up about 15, 20 minutes early today, but that is okay. Nothing wrong with it as long as we stay consistent, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open the floor. And after Natasha, I'll give my last and final thoughts on chapter 2. And we'll share with you chapter 3. And we'll be same time and same day next week. All right? So the floor is open, Natasha.
Okay. You hear me? The sound went okay. The rounding up the rest of the chapter, there were a few things that stood out, and looking at making difficult decisions. Sometimes as leaders, that's not really just as people. I don't know if people are taught. Well, I'm not going to say I don't know. I know people are not taught to make difficult decisions. A lot of times people take the very passive approach to just let it happen. Whatever needs to happen, just let it happen and we'll deal with it. As opposed to being a more proactive person, not just active, but proactive and really looking at what's taking place. And I love how it says in here, sometimes an employee is a low performer because he is expected to perform a job that does not match his or her gifts or abilities. So in order to even pick up on that as a leader, you have to be paying attention. You have to be paying attention. And then that takes a personal accountability has to come into place to see, well, how did this person end up in this position anyway? How did this person, how did I place this person in a place where I expected them to do something that they are not capable or willing to do? It does not match their gifts, talents, abilities, and there's no spark in that person. And so you have to really be able to discern the person and their gifts along with the assignment in the organization. And that goes for family and children. It goes for a husband and wife, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but it really does take that's leadership right there. And to make a hard decision to say, okay, where you are right now is not productive for you or anyone else, so I'm going to move you, or just kind of pull you out altogether. Sometimes it requires you to say, listen, this relationship or you being a part of this space is not serving the greater cause. It's one of those core values that said, don't do what's easy, do what's right. And we talk a lot of times. I say I'm speaking of James. When we have conversations, it's like that. You got to check yourself. We both have to check ourselves. It's not about if I'm right or he's right, but what's right. And it's having an understanding of what the overall goal is. If we know who we are and what the goal is, then it's not about if I'm right or if he's right, but what's right. And as a leader, you have to really be able to make that tough decision in order to move forward, because moving, changing, transitioning, all of that stuff, it rarely ever feels good. It rarely ever feels good. However, when it's really right, there'll be so much peace there. I'll never forget when I was teaching and the district decided to change the program. I taught in a performing and academics program that was placed inside of a school. Well, the district decided to make the program a whole school all on its own. And I didn't make that decision, but it was time to be moved. It was time to be moved. And what the district nor my administrators knew was that I was personally suffering emotionally because I could not handle what my students were going through. They had some home issues that had, and their kids, they had no other way they didn't know how not to bring it to school. It was showing up, and it was weighing so heavy on me. I was literally at the point saying, I don't know if I can take this anymore. It was one of those times where you said how people say, don't bring work home. As a person, it's some stuff just gets to you as a person. And I was heavy emotionally. But there was a decision made, and it was causing me not to be as productive. Because there were many times that I would come in the classroom. I'm not going to say many, but there were several occasions where I would come in the classroom and I would just assess my students' behavior. And I would say, listen, I don't need to teach any math today. We need to talk. So in one standpoint, the production was expected, keep up with the pacing guide and the curriculum and do this and do that. But no, it was much bigger than that. And so I was just grateful. Like I said, sometimes when changes and transitions take place, there's a piece there that makes that tough decision worthwhile. And so that's one instance. And then it talks about paying the price as a leader. When you pay the price, it attracts other leaders. And there's no one to really say how long it takes. Because you may make the sacrifice and really not see the fruits of it until sometime later. But you have to just continue to be willing to move in that sacrifice and be open and aware to the people that you're attracting into your life. So we want to encourage people, and just because you aren't in this leadership position where you work with a huge team or whatever, no, you're a leader in whatever facet that you're in. As a parent, as a spouse, sometimes it could be leaving a situation so that your family is made better. And it may be extremely difficult to do that. It may be extremely difficult to leave an environment, right? But you make the sacrifice. And it could be someone walking away from a job, going into full-time entrepreneurship. It may be leaving a space that you feel is not really conducive for your children, whatever it may be. It could be a parent deciding to take their child out of one particular educational space and place them in something else. So I don't want anybody to think just because you aren't working with some large organization or group that you are not a leader. You are. But just know that when you make those, when you pay that price, you're going to start attracting different people. And those people are a reflection of the place that you're going, not where you've been. So start paying attention to the type of people that you're attracting into your life, because they're going to be a reflection of that sacrifice that you made. And I don't want people to think that it's always going to be some glorious and lofty thing. But if you're really, really operating in discernment, you'll start seeing that truly the people and the caliber of people that you're attracting is completely different from where you've been. The essence of the people that you're attracting is completely different. And those are resources to help you along the way. And they may not be there long term, and some might, but just pay attention to the caliber of people that you're attracting into your life. And so you're going to have to continue in that sacrifice, right? Do it daily. And I want to finish up by, I looked at these questions on commitment to personal growth and questions to ask concerning organizational growth. And I often say that leadership starts at home. Bottom line, leadership starts at home. When you look at political officials or whatever you want to call them, when you look at coaches that are superstars and have really great production, when you look at John Maxwell and things like that, and you really get a chance to listen to them, and you can pay attention to what their home life is like, you can see why it is so consistent, why their growth is so consistent. Or not. Or not, right? I know that when and we tell this story sometimes, when we made the decision to transition from full-time employment, I personally had been building a career. I knew from the time I was probably 18 years old that my gift was education. Not just it was something I wanted to do, I knew that my gift was teaching. And honestly, it was something I kind of wanted to go away from because my parents were educators. But I got to a place where I learned that my gift was not confined to teaching in a school building. However, there were many things that I needed to grow in and understand once I stepped into full-time entrepreneurship with James, with my husband, those that are viewing. Those that are watching, you may not know that James and I pretty much have done everything together in terms of partnership since we both resigned. Now, one of the things that he did as a leader for the family, he paid attention to me. He knew that I was never really concerned about a position or title. I've always been the person to want understanding. And I think in the book, they talked about the starting point to achievement is desire, dedication, and determination. But the end of all achievement is understanding. And whatever I did, I wanted to get understanding. And it wasn't about just going to school to get all four of the degrees so that I could put an affix in front of my name or behind it. I wanted the understanding. And one of the things that James did was, and he still does to this day, he invests in further learning. And yes, it's for both of us, but he gives it to me as a gift. I'll never forget when we, like 2012, 2013, instead of me investing money into my degree programs, we flipped that and started investing in growth and leadership conferences, seminars, things like that, books, just investing. And not just investing to be in the class or things like that, but investing in terms of sowing the seed into the people that were teaching us. And he's done that ever since we've been married. He's always placed me in growth environments. And we've always, every turn in our growth has been connected. We see how every turn in our growth has been connected to somebody. And we've always wanted to honor that person. On the journey, every time we took a turn or something like that, it was attached to some person. And we've always wanted to make sure that we honored them. And I can definitely say for our household, there's this African proverb. I saw it, and I've literally been studying this African proverb that says, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation or a family. And that's powerful. And I want to explain why. For the man, he's set up to and designed to be the teacher or the instructor or the provider of or vision for the household, right, or that family. But as a woman, the woman is a multiplier. She is a receiver. She produces. So if that's the case, if the woman is a receiver and a multiplier, a nurturer, an encourager, you educate her. You educating the whole nation. And so I'm so grateful for him always. And he'll do it before I will. He'll see a seminar or something, he'll register for it. He'll see a book, or I may mention a book before I can even get it. I may say, this sounds good. He'll order it. So he's always providing an environment to learn. And one of the other things I had to catch was this. We do not learn the same way. I am a reader. I am a studier. And I process information much differently than he does. He's an auditory person and he is an observer. We're very different in terms of how we learn and how we grow. A good bit of the leadership that I have learned, I've actually learned from him because he's so people oriented. And for him, that's his gift. And so when it comes to leadership and what you're doing, I encourage everybody. We may have to post it in the group. Everybody should have their book, but it really calls for a lot of inward. Just check yourself with those questions where it talks about questions on commitment to personal growth. Do you have a plan for personal growth? Am I the leader? Am I the leader of that plan? Or am I willing to change? Is my life an example for other people to follow? Am I willing to pay the price to become a great leader? And so those are questions you have to ask. And he said, if you've answered no to too many of those, it's time to change, like right now. And then the other questions that ask in terms of, am I really kind of producing an organization? Questions to ask concerning organizational growth. And I won't go through all of them, but I love how the questions were set up. It said seldom, sometimes, and usually. It didn't even say all the time. It said usually. Because even in that, it gives space for growth. It gives space for growth. And shout out to anybody that looked at this, and the majority of, first of all, that did it and did it truthfully, answered the questions. Another shout out to the person that says, let me take a look at this and see where I really need to grow, and that's beginning to act on it. And for those that said, that identified that most of the questions they can answer saying usually, and I hate that the viewers that are watching this can't see all the questions, but that should be confirmation that your journey is really fulfilling to you. If you have answered usually to the majority of these questions, has the organization made specific commitment to growth and develop? Is the organization willing to spend money to develop? Is the organization willing to make changes? Stuff like that. Is the organization placing emphasis on production instead of titles? So those questions, if you can say usually those things are taking place around me and the people that are working with me, then that is such an amazing place for you to be in. And I'm saying that because sometimes when leaders, you've heard people say leadership is a very lonely role, because sometimes you feel that what you're doing may not be as significant as you think it is, because you are rare. And I'm talking to Carlotta right now because she does so much. She does so much. And it's how she pours into other people. She may not always see the fruit of it. But when you can look at people that are around you, and you can honestly look at those questions and say, usually, and I'm just saying, Carlotta, it's a usually for the team. It's a usually for the team. Know that. And that's just confirmation of the gift that's in you as a leader. And we're grateful. As a team, it's a usual. And we're grateful. And that's all I have to say for today. Thank you so much for allowing to share. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Natasha, for that. You always have that boomerang effect. I don't see it coming. I'm like, in text, I'm like, yes, and then boom. Okay, but I really appreciate it. I never take it for granted, and you're so absolutely right. I've learned that you can pour into people, and oftentimes that's not necessarily where you're going to reap from. I'm grateful to say that I do reap with certain leaders that are surrounded by me. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for what happened the other day. I don't know if you saw my Facebook post, but a leader that's in my circle of circles just sold $500 into me out of nowhere, said that's what God told her to do. And I was like, wow, this is something that normally happens from a stranger. But I was grateful. And I'm grateful for the Kings as well. We had the manifestation celebration. I never forget that incident as well. But sometimes it can be difficult and tough. Leaders, that's everybody, tapped in, listening in. You will have people that you will help. You will sow into their life. You may spend money, time, energy. They may turn their back on you. And it's almost as if you did something wrong when you did not do anything wrong. Do not let that stop you from being who you are. Period. It's going to happen at some point in time. Someone's going to be offended. Even when you're not even trying to be offensive. But don't let it get you down, because it happens. It's going to happen. It can happen from a friend, an associate, an acquaintance, a coworker, a family member. Those things happen. But it's how do you handle the situation? That's when the real you shows up. Yes, so I'm learning to just really operate with that energy, and that's the reason why I'm so grateful for being a part of the John Maxwell team and tapping back into that more inside the team. It's just a beautiful environment. So I encourage anybody who's interested, you want to know what really being a part of the John Maxwell team is like, just go for it. Don't hold back. It can happen. Listen, if it can happen for me back in 2019, when it happened for me, I'm telling you, I didn't even know it was going to happen. It was a blessing. But if that's what you desire, go for it, because you're going to learn so much. And John Maxwell is an amazing leader and is surrounded by amazing leaders. Go figure. All right. So, man, listen, we can stay on this chapter literally all day and night until the Heart of the Matter show at 8 p.m. I'm telling you, we can be on here all for several hours. But I'm going to spare you today. We're not going to do that. We're going to go on and wrap up. However, let me get to this real quick before I forget, because I have not forgotten. All right, so this is for everyone that is, hello, Corinthian. I see you. She said, thanks, Carlotta, for this mastermind. It is certainly helpful, and I am grateful. I'm grateful for all of you. A lot of feedback. I know Shanetta, she got her comments in, and she came into the stage. Thank you, everybody who was tapped in, tuned in the private group and not. So to everyone, this is a free mastermind group, okay? It doesn't cost you anything. Due to the fact that it's free, I do not cover your books. You get your own book, okay? Because I'm not doing this just to, overdo things. I'm doing it to create an environment for people we can grow together. Because oftentimes when you grow as an individual, guess what? You're going to create distance. And if people in your circle do not have a growth plan, that means they are not tapped into growing and stretching themselves, whether it's as leaders or as a person, there's going to be separation. Elevation causes separation by default. So This is a way for you and your friends and your buddies and your homies and your circle and your clique or whatever, your little group, y'all can get into a free mastermind together and grow together. Sharpen your mind, stretch yourselves, right? So I offer the opportunity of where you can receive a free book, because I do like to give back, especially when I can. And so the question is going to be asked. Normally, when the Zooms were lit, because we used to do this privately, and when the Zooms were lit, I'd be like, listen, everybody books down. And everybody's there with the books down, and I ask the question, and whoever answers, they win the book. And I might do it like 1 or 2 times, but everybody that's in the private group kind of chilling in the cut, and they're watching, but they do support now. They support off camera. However, so I'm going to give away 1 book. And this is for those who are inside the group. So if you want to win or have the opportunity to win, if you're not a part of my free mastermind group, then you can follow the instructions on the flyer or comment under this live. And you will be able to be added, just 1 or 2 little quick steps, and you can be added and have a chance, unless somebody that's on the inside answers first. But you have the opportunity to either get this book. We're only in chapter 3 next week. But if you already have this book, then I will gift you with our next read. Okay, that's after this one. So the question is, and the first person who comments that fits the criteria of what I posted yesterday, and y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in the group. Now, a person who's brand new and you're not in the group, free game. If you comment here, you want to get in, or you send me a DM, or you know someone that's already in the group, and we can get you in with 1 or 2 quick questions. And if you can get in and answer before someone in the group answers, you will have the opportunity to be gifted a free book as well. So my question is this: what is the greatest of all change agents? I'm going to say it one more time. What is the greatest of all change agents? It is verbatim in the book in chapter 2. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So the person who answers that question in the comments, must be in the comments so I can know timestamp. And I'm hoping the comments are, like I said, this is my first time using this platform, so I really don't know how it is. I'm going to find out in just a minute, because both of my phones are over there somewhere. All right. What is chapter 3 about? Chapter 3 is the leader's primary responsibility: identifying potential leaders. Identifying potential leaders. If you would like to be a part of the free mastermind group here, where we are, as you can see, we dive in. We don't hold back, because the more we can bounce ideas off each other, the more we bring the text to life, the more we really make an impact and make sure that we give it all we have. So when we walk away from the mastermind, we feel full. We feel like we have something. This is one of the highlights of my week. Very intentional about this right here. So if you feel like you would need that and the value in it, and once again, it doesn't cost you anything. Normally these have a fee attached to it, but there's no fee. So you might as well come on in. All right. Thank you, Natasha King, for just being present. Thank you, and Mr. King, for your leadership, your examples, everything that you are and everything that you are growing to be. Because I know right now, this is just where we are now, and God bless it. Woo. There's levels to this. Thank you, everybody who tuned in from Facebook, from YouTube. This was my very first time going live with this platform, but I think it did really well, because normally with the other platform, Natasha, with you having issues with the weather, you would have been kicked out like you wouldn't have been able to come back in. And it was real. I saw it. You would go wide across the screen and come back in, but it's really working, and it doesn't take a lot from other people's computer. That's why I did my research, and I learned that, okay, this is really cool. You look really clear, crisp. I like that. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for hanging in. I see some viewers just been hanging in strong from the beginning to the end. Thank you. If you want to comment, that's great. You don't have to. If you want to share, That's awesome, amazing. You never know how this might impact someone else's life. It might be just what they need to be okay at their job and have peace within, or to know that they are good enough to make the decision. Now, how many people you know that are suffering because it's all about the money to them, but their hearts are just dried up. They don't have nothing else to give. But if they would just be in a better environment with great leadership, it would be world changing. You just never know. But I'm all about growing. The concept of personal growth and development, oh my gosh, can I disappear? That used to be me back in the day. When I was younger, in my youth, I did not, book, no. I didn't like to read. And just to be honest, when I became an adult, at least over 10 years ago, I still did not like to read, if I could be honest with y'all. As an author, can I share a secret with y'all? As an author, what I have realized is that I've had more adults tell me that they don't read. And I can understand that because I was feeling the same way. Like, I graduated high school. I got my college degree. What I got to pick up a book again for? But then when you think about it, pull yourself away from that stigma, that thought process attached to that. Why do I feel like I shouldn't read? Because it's the very thing that's inside of this book here. That might be the very thing you need to hear to unlock that potential that's inside of you. Remember, we talked about it in this chapter, the chiseling away. Michelangelo, he chisels the stone away and creates a beautiful masterpiece by just chiseling away. Beautiful work of art. And David said it was there all the time within the stone. Same thing with you. Who you are, your potential is already there. It's already there. But you're going to have to put in that work. You're going to have to put in that work. And if work is reading and understanding and breaking down and checking yourself, and that's what the work is required, and then follow through and apply action, and you're going to figure it out one day, at least you're on your path. So try it out. Nobody going to hold you hostage. Try out the Mastermind and see what it can do for you. Thank you so much, Corinthian James. She said all of the feedback was amazing. I agree. Shanetta Chrysler held it down. She said, hey, Coach, I'm going to be in and out, but I'm going to be in. And she was in the comments. Come on. And we appreciate you so much, Corinthian James. Yes, ma'am. We got a winner! Now, hold on. Let me ask. Natasha, you did not tell Doc the answers, did you? Doc just showed up out of nowhere with the answer. I'm going to call Shanetta. Because Doc, what's up, Coach Doc? Doc going to tell me too. Doc, did anybody call you and say, hey, go answer the question? I got to watch out for them. I know they look out for each other strong. But all right, thank you all for showing up. Doc, you got the right answer. I guess it really don't matter how you got it, huh? She said, no, ma'am. Hey, look, I can't compete with that answer. It's correct. Congratulations, Doc. Let me know. You've been in the private group. Okay, got you. Doc, let me know which book you want. Do you want this one? Or do you want the next one? If you already have this one, then I'm gonna gift you the next book, okay, for the next session. All right, see you all next Thursday. Well, not publicly, but if you want to join the Mastermind, we will be in the private group next week, Thursday at noon. All right, see you all later for the Heart of the Matter show at 8 p.m. tonight. I'm excited about that, and you all have a very great day. Got you, Doc. We're going to get you in on the next one. Natasha, sit back, hang back for a second. All right.